Hey guys, we're just going to introduce the fishbowl there. Beautiful. Awesome. Thank you everybody. Yeah, so thanks for coming out to the Meetup, real London. So anyways, we're going to do a new kind of concept today. It's a little fishbowl conversation where you can present your problems and have everyone kind of discuss things and work through the ideas. So I'll let Matt McKeever explain the concept for you guys a bit better.
So yeah, we're kind of excited. We want to, OREC just kind of happened. A lot of people are hungry to do some shit, and so we want to really work through everyone's problems. So the way it's going to work is we'll start off with Dylan, myself, and Kellen, and we'll just be saying up here, anyone right now in the audience can join us and just sit down and we'll chat through your situation or a problem you got. So maybe you're at 3 mortgages and the bank won't give you a 4th, or you don't know how to save your down payment. We want to essentially work that through. We're going to try and get to a resolution to help you with whatever your problem is. And then one of us, either the person that joined us or one of the 3 of us, will get up, leave, and then a new person's welcome to join with whatever problem or issue they're trying to work through. And if we don't have any problems to solve, then people can just come up here and humble brag. So yeah, so we're just gonna get started. So does someone got an issue that they'd be willing to join us with? Free advice.
Hey, it's up.
No, yeah.
Come on up. Awesome.
Tim, right?
Yes, my name is Z. First time here. I met you on, actually I found about the app on the net, just searching about real estate within London, North America altogether. So the best to start, as what I learned by myself and some with different people, I asked them to start with the wholesaling. Wholesale to collect some money before you buy the house, or you find a way to get a house, and then you do the renovations and then do flipping, and then you go from there to that. So I want to do that one before the end of the year. I want to be that person who's buying the houses too.
Ah, okay.
Yes, so my problem, it's not a problem, but where to start from. I asked about buyers. He told me there is more buyer than people offering the houses. So I'm in a safe side right now, so that's not a question. Finding the houses within London, maybe he's talking about Windsor and other places. So within London, which part of the city most, like the hardest part? Buyers, they just jump in the houses without asking so many questions. Everywhere.
Yeah.
So that's the second. That's my.
The challenge right now isn't finding buyers. It's finding the deals.
Finding the deals.
Yeah. So lead generation is the big thing.
My real problem, numbering, getting the right deal. That's the bottom line of my problems. I want to get that once. I need a mentor to go for 1 or 2 deals from A to Z, and then to be split 50-50 for free. I do it just to learn, because there is no education for free. To learn, I can sacrifice everything, do everything, and then to learn it, and then I go from there. I'm not worrying about the money right now. I'm worrying about learning new kind of things.
Yeah.
That's all about it.
Nice. Awesome.
In Windsor, you want me to do that one with you, I could do that one. Whoever live anywhere in North America, I could do it for him.
Awesome. I like the passion. So I think you're at the right table. So Dylan does wholesaling and does it quite successfully so far. So do you mind maybe talking a little bit more about how to get started in wholesaling?
Yeah, definitely. So to kind of answer some of your questions there, it is harder to find a deal right now. Everyone's struggling for deals. It's a seller's market. So finding good deals is the name of the game. From that, anywhere you find a deal in London, as long as the numbers work on the other end, people will want to buy it. Obviously, in a nice area, like an A+ area, your after repair value, so the value with which the property will be worth when it's renovated, when all the problems were solved, when you bring it up to kind of an average value at the area, or kind of whatever value your end buyer would want, that's going to be a lot higher in these nicer areas. So with that being said though, there are more deals in lower income areas, because the lower income areas typically have less price pressure. So what that means is that people have bigger problems and they don't have the money to solve the problems. In A+ areas, people have money to solve these problems, so they don't need you to come in and help them. So with that being said, yeah, the big thing is obviously figuring out the numbers. And so I guess right here, just giving you a quick and dirty answer on that, I think the most important and the easiest way to do it is to work backwards. So you want to start in mind with your ARV, which, like I said, after repair value. You kind of want to know the average of the area, what properties go for, what a similar property would go for, and then you can work backwards from there. You can take off the renovation costs. You can take off a little bit for closing costs, because especially you have to almost put your mind in the mind of your buyer. Is it a rental property? Is it going to be a BRRRR property? Is it going to be a fix and flip? And then from there you can kind of work back the renovation costs, maybe some holding costs. What kind of work would they want to do? And then what's really important is always making sure to leave a little bit extra for your fee, right? So when you get into wholesaling, one fee that we like to use in this area a little bit, it's like $10,000 is kind of a standard metric. Good deals, you can make more from that. Sometimes if the deal's tight, you may negotiate down less. But building that in as well is also very important, because a lot of times that number can get a lot of pressure, right? But that's like the most important, because that's obviously what you're going to be making for your time to do the deal. But I'd recommend getting started, like you said, learning. You can get started, get your feet wet with bird dogging, where you're literally just finding leads, where you don't even have to be the guy running all the numbers, writing up all the paperwork, putting the offers. You can literally just find a potential lead. Like, let's say, like literally, I'll add you on Facebook after this, we're gonna connect. Okay. But you find a property, looks like it's got boarded up windows, it looks terrible, you don't even know, but hey, hit me up, give me the address. And like, the thing is that amongst this group and this circle, I think everyone gets it. Like, we're all here to work together, we're all here to win together. So, you know what I mean, if you're providing value to somebody, they're gonna provide value back. And so like, whenever somebody refers me a deal, I'll always pay them cash for that. And it's just that cyclical process. I want to give away that money, right, when people are offering me value. So when you're doing that, not only are you building stronger connections with investors, people who already know the game, but you're also making money and some profit from it. It's not going to be a smoking gun at first. It's not going to be this massive stream of cash. It takes startup, it takes knowledge, but as you start kind of building that up, right, and I love it, your focus is on the knowledge, which is exactly where it should be.
Thank you so much. I was gonna say a great way to start is just, if you want, you can knock on doors, right? So people do flyers and that kind of thing, but knock on doors, see if there's anyone who's looking to sell their house, tell them, hey, you don't have to pay realtor fees with me. You know, either I'm looking to buy myself, or I have a bunch of buyers that I know are looking. Tell them, if you know somebody in the area, ask them, do you know anyone in the area that's looking to sell their home, or do you know any places around here that, you know, are really run down, you'd like to see fixed up, maybe you know the owner. Make sure you tell people you're willing to pay a finder's fee, because from your perspective, if you give them $1,000 and they give you the contact information of the owner of a property that you could potentially close on and maybe get a $10,000 wholesale fee on, it's worth it to you. So I've paid out 3 finder's fees myself, and it's just about telling everybody that, look, I'm willing to pay this, bring the deal to me, and then I'll close on it. And especially once you start doing that a couple times, people start looking out, because like, oh, this is legit, right? Like, I can actually make money doing this. Right. So just tell everyone you know that you're looking, and just think long term, try and build these relationships.
And then building off of what Kellen said about knocking doors, what I really like about knocking doors is it's going to force you to become kind of geographic expert. You're going to get to know that neighborhood that you're looking to buy in. Like, I really like your energy level, but my only concern is, you know, going North America wide, that's a lot to learn fast. So like, you
have to start from a point. I'm sorry just to cut you out there, but like, to start from, like, if you know it down here, using like cryptocurrency right now, it's just globally kind of things, if you know how to use the like Bitcoin. So knowing the knowledge here in North America, how to get the house, how to get the deals, and how you sell it, that's, I think it applies all over North America, but that's what I meant.
Yeah, okay, perfect. So yeah, like, I would become a geographic expert in a few neighborhoods, and I think knocking doors is one of the best ways. All 3 of us have knocked doors in the past, and like, we have not a huge sample size to draw upon, but I would say 100 targeted door knocks, we were usually finding 3 interesting leads per 100. Like, that doesn't mean that that's going to turn into a wholesale fee, but that means like you're having a real conversation where you're like, hey, there is something here, I think that like I can make something happen. But then beyond that, I think networking intelligently is important too. So like, you know, telling everyone you meet that you're looking for real estate's great, but like, really focus on people that see a lot of real estate. So that's realtors, property managers, as well as people that see distressed properties a lot, right? So to me, that's like exterminators, or the local sheriff, like people that are evicting, you know, like, that's what paralegals that do a lot of evictions. That sort of thing's another great angle in order to figure out how to just really get the most from your efforts.
Yeah.
Thank you so much.
No problem.
Somebody else?
No problem.
Can I go?
I do have 2,000 questions, but
Got some homework, nice. Thank you for the question.
All right. Hi guys, my name is Mike, and I have an issue here today that a lot of investors here today might run into in the future. So I want to share with you guys, and maybe you can give me a solution.
Yeah.
So recently I bought a duplex in Oldie's Village, and the deal closes this Friday.
Jeff's taking a drink.
Thanks to Jeff. Yeah. So I'm just preparing for the worst case scenario, just in case, so that I'm prepared when it happens. So the basement unit that's currently rented right now to a tenant, the ceiling may be too low by the city standards, but it's pretty tight. Like, it is like 6'6", but some areas it might be like 6'4", 5. So if the city comes to me and says your ceiling is too low, then what happens after? Because right now there's a tenant in there, so I want to know the process of how it's going to work out if it comes to that.
So yeah.
Yeah,
Well,
I guess like first just talking through some of the technicalities. So it's only going to be an issue if it's a point of egress that's less than 6'5".
Yeah.
And usually it's going to really depend on your exact inspector, but a lot of inspectors that aren't giant douchebags, some are, will slightly bend their measuring tape slightly if you're at 6'4 3/4", and they'll be like close enough.
Okay.
And so like there's a tiny bit of grace, but it really depends on the inspector. Then maybe there's alternatives. Maybe right now you got like a under padding under your floor, and maybe you can take that out and put vinyl plank and save. Like if we're literally talking about shaving 1/4 of an inch, we can probably shave 1/4 of an inch one way or the other. So.
Right. And if I have to do that, do I have to get the tenant out, like evict them, or how does that work?
No, I mean you could probably work around it with them, right?
Depends
like,
how extensive it is.
Okay.
Yeah, like a lot of these things you can get done in a day or two.
Right.
You know, like it's not. It might seem like a huge deal, but I mean,
Right.
what is the height that you're dealing with? Have you met?
So the kitchen and the areas that I measured were 6'6".
Which
some
is
areas
great.
go down to like maybe it's like 6'4". I haven't really like measured.
So I would just measure and figure it
Yeah.
out first before you get too concerned about.
Right.
But
You can also sometimes, like if it's drop ceiling or if the drywall's hung a little too low or something, you can sometimes raise it up.
Or if it's a vent, you could maybe get the vent restructured right and go wider instead of deeper.
Or even move it, like move the ductwork over
move
the
it
corner
to the wall.
bulkhead.
Yeah.
So the moral of the story is like I shouldn't really worry until I really.
I think it's if you're planning going that route and calling the city and having them come out.
I wouldn't just look for problems either. I wouldn't be calling the city personally. Like I just want to make sure we're clear here. Like I would never just go looking for a fight. I would wait until a fight was brought to me. So like I would just get my rental license. If they send out an inspector, you let the inspector walk through, do their thing, be friendly. Do not bring it up. Be friendly. Be there on time. Warn your tenants in advance so your tenants have cleaned up the place and there's no conflict when you're showing the inspector the units. Just make it a really easy process for when the inspector shows up. Like make it the easiest inspection he's going to do today, rather than, oh, you forgot your key at home, you're going to have to crawl through the window to unlock. Like, just make it smooth.
I'm going to step out. You're going to stay because you have things to offer as well.
Okay.
And I think if Dan or somebody else wants to join in.
Or anyone with a question,
Anybody who's got questions or anything like that. Dan's got a problem.
And I have another question regarding my property.
Okay.
Oh, you guys, yeah. So I was talking to Dylan today about the pros and cons of having property management, and we started to discuss about a disadvantage where the property manager may not really have that much of an incentive to get good tenants, and I want to know how we can fight that, how we can mitigate that risk.
I think the first thing is like set expectations, right? So like. And like have a good property manager first, right? Because good people take pride in the work they do, so that's a good start. But then really set expectations. So like recently I've been handing over my portfolio to my sister to get her to manage it. And I was like, put ads on Kijiji. And she put up ads on Kijiji, but she got no response, and this market's crazy hot, so that didn't make sense to me, right? So my instructions weren't clear enough, right? Like, take tons of good photos, write really good descriptions, make sure you mention the neighborhood so it can be easily found. Like, you know, like if you're really concerned about them not finding great tenants, like I would just really set your expectations out, right? Like if you're going to have a credit score expectation, let the property manager know that in advance. just I would really make sure that they know what you're expecting.
So I had a discussion with my property manager in person, and you know, it definitely seemed like he knew what he was doing, and he listed out all the things he's gonna do to screen the tenants, all the reference checks he does. So I was able to kind of trust him on that. So, but the payment structure is that I am paying him a flat fee every month. So like, if we're talking about like the payment structure, there's really no incentive there for him to actually follow through. Because if it's like a percentage pay structure, then like he has the incentive to have good tenants in there so that he doesn't lose income. But because now it's a flat fee, even if he loses the tenant, maybe the tenant leaves after a year, it really doesn't really affect him, but it affects me.
Yes, that can be a little tricky.
Yeah.
I think though, in the property, speaking because I know the property and I've met the manager there before too, I think it's not enough of a conflict of interest where he'll really start being lazy with it, because once again, he's going to want to take a bit of pride in having good guys, and that's when you really get that gut feeling from a guy who takes pride in his work. But that is an interesting concern, especially if you were scaling and you did have a lot of stuff for him to manage.
Right. Okay.
Good. Any thoughts, Dan?
I'm done with my questions,
well,
but
I'll give up my seat if someone's got a question. Feel free to.
Well, I had a question.
Oh, I'll play you. Okay. Let's crank it.
I don't think I can ask Ryan this.
Okay.
So, if you're transitioning your portfolio to property manager, like you're talking about property management right now, what do you think the best way is to transition to a property manager?
Like all at once, you mean, or piece by piece?
Well, I mean, that's the thing.
Yeah. I think like I didn't do this, so this isn't like, but if I was smart, I would have done it. I think the key is like, the best way to hand it off to a property manager is to have it perfectly running, right? Where like, I'm doing the opposite, where obviously being a landlord became less and less important, less and less of my focus, right? So I'm handing it off to people at probably the least intelligent time to be doing it, if I was being honest. Like, I probably should have taken time, focused, whipped it perfectly into shape, and then handed it off, because first of all, it would have set expectations well. It would have like presented them, this is how it's supposed to be run. Where instead I'm like, I don't know where my keys are, like just get the tenant to cut you new ones. Like, and because I'm like, OREC, or VREC, and all the other more exciting things, right? So, like, I think that'd be smart. The way I did do it with Sharon was, the way I found that property manager was, I bought the property she was managing, similar to what Mike's doing, let her stay on, and then use that kind of as a test run, right? I got to see her for a couple months, see how she worked. I liked it, then I hand over another property, and I kind of set expectations when we first met. I was like, hey, I have this giant portfolio. It could probably be full-time for you if you want it, but we're going to do it kind of in steps to make sure that we're both comfortable the way it's growing.
I would consider doing like some sort of a review process where you could, if there's certain tenants you know that you kind of trust that are somewhat trustworthy, you can say, hey, like, you know, I'm going to ask you in a few months how this property manager is doing, and you can tell the property manager, look, I have certain tenants placed, and they're going to let me know in a few months how things are going with the property.
That's a good idea.
They might know, and you can even incentivize them and say, if things are going really well, maybe I pay you more, or I won't fire you, or everything.
Perfect.
Yeah, I like that. Even like being like a shadow manager, like literally still doing what you're doing, but having them just as like a really intense test. But I guess, Matt's story kind of illustrates that a bit, is that you almost, like, you can't abdicate until you're really confident that person can take over. Right. The delegation is still just very watching them each step of the way.
Cool. So, I like it.
Hey.
Hey.
Hey there.
So I'm Ryan, and I'm completely fresh to this whole thing. Actually just got out of school, and happened to happen at the same time as OREC, meetings like this. So there's been a lot of information like getting right away, and a lot of networking. And I think one of the biggest problems I'm facing going into it is both more what knowledge should I make sure I gather before I take those first steps, especially like because I find I might get caught up in like something that's 6 months down the line, like I don't know, what's this property going to get me at the end of its life, when I still don't know the legality behind it, or like or don't know exactly where to look. So I guess one of like my biggest problems starting out, which I hope you could speak a bit to, is like, what's the minimum amount of knowledge, like the most prime knowledge you want before you start stepping out,
What a good question.
going forward?
It's a good question.
It's an interesting one, right? Because there's two schools of thought. Like, you could just go for it, right? Just jump in, and you're gonna learn most of your information when you do. Most you'll learn by doing, right? So your first deal is gonna really teach you. However, that's not probably the most pragmatic. Now, I think what you're doing is awesome, and that's the exact same spot I was in. Like, I remember some of the first properties I was seeing, because I got into student rentals, so like analyzing student rental properties, it's all by bedroom. So not even knowing legality or laws or things like that, I just started getting crazy and being like, oh, a 10-bedroom house, a 20-bedroom house, like, what, right? What if, right? You're a millionaire. But as you start actually learning what's possible and what's reasonable, and what are the drawbacks and the pros and cons, you can, I think the best way to learn is networking. So you're doing the right thing right now, talking with people, and then basically, yeah, you want to let your imagination run wild, but at the same time, you want to hedge that in the fundamentals, because what's been working for everybody else, what is everyone else doing to succeed, that's most likely what's going to cause you success too. Now, that being said, you could find something and boom, like you just see it, right? You get that vision, and that energy is going to help you have success with that. But it's got to be tethered to reality somewhat still.
I agree. No, and just to add to the networking piece, I would also consider a mentor as well, and one that specializes in the type of property. You may not know exactly what type of property you want to buy yet, but I would consider that, figuring out what type of property you want to buy and who would be a good mentor for that specific property type in a specific area. And by doing the networking, you're going to be able to find somebody like that, because really they can kind of tell you in very simple terms how to analyze a property and things like this, and what to look out for, and they can come out and look at properties with you, right? So it's a very simple process of what to do, but everybody else, as Dylan's saying, like there's so much knowledge built up in this in networks that it's like, why, I know they say it a lot, but why reinvent the wheel, right? Just go in there, tap into this beautifully free information, and then there you go.
Exactly.
Additionally, too, is see a lot of properties. Like, you gotta, especially when you're starting, as you get jaded in the game, you get it gets tiresome, and you don't have to just crush it and grind through tons and tons of properties. But when you're starting out, you're gonna see tons of properties, and then you'll see one and maybe be amazed by the deal. And then that's when you reach out to some of your network. You're like, hey, I saw this 10-bedroom student rental, Dan. This is going to make me a millionaire. Dan's going to call you on it and be like, oh, maybe you can't do a 10-bedroom.
That's a closet. That's not a room.
Exactly. Students won't live there. They live most places, but well, some might. But that's how you that's kind of how the process went with me, and slowly from seeing a lot of properties, because when you get really excited about a property, then you're going to actually go even deeper into it, right? Like,
exactly.
No one does a full-blown market analysis and full, like, no one goes all the way down on every single property they analyze. Like, even my process, I just have a super quick and dirty that I do when I'm just scanning through. But then when things get me excited, that's when I go deeper. So follow that same process, and if anything excites you, like, you might not know anything, you might be like, hey, the brick looks awesome, this just looks like a cool property, but then dive into it, and then you're going to pull out that knowledge that you can apply to other ones as well.
Exactly.
Yeah, and I'll just piggyback on top of that what Dylan said as well. It's like, I know for myself, I don't even run numbers on properties anymore. I know, I look at the property, I'm like, yes, that's it. It's usually like about a 10-minute process, and I understand what I'm buying and how much it's going to make, and that's from doing deals. So I'm not saying that, you know, because this is being recorded, I'm not saying
I'm just going to walk out and say yes to a house.
Yeah, like for a person like Dylan or myself, we could do that, right? But that just goes to show you, like, if you bring someone along with you, like, boom, you know whether it's going to be good or not, they're going to immediately be able to say, okay, like Dylan said, you can go deeper, or whether like, okay, the front store is over here, or this is comical, let's use it for Instagram, and then let's go home.
Yeah.
So
Exactly. Exactly. Yeah, and definitely with mentors being important, and one of the things like I'll be looking into for stuff like this is people who specialize or have a lot of experience with like the BRRRR method, especially on like multiple income housings, maybe not 10 bedroom places that are this big, but
yeah.
What about Mike? Like,
Yeah, I want to share my experience because I'm just starting out in real estate as my side hustle, but I was definitely in your position just about like 9 months ago. I think what these guys said was totally on point, because without these meetups, I definitely wouldn't have been able to find my second property. Going to these meetups is really important because you have these people that you can ask questions to, and another really big benefit is that it keeps you motivated. It took me 6 offers to get this one. I threw in 6 offers and I got rejected every time, but coming out to these meetups really motivated me to keep pushing, because these guys have properties and they look happy, right? And I want to get to that level, and although I'm getting rejected right now by these offers, but I'm eventually gonna get there, and that's what really kept me going. And another thing is, whenever you have questions or whenever you have doubts about properties that you find, if you're alone by yourself, you're not going to be able to put in an offer, because you need that kind of like a backup, like someone who's going to back you up and like, it's a great choice. You're making the right choice. And for me, that was Dylan, Dan, Kellen, Jeff.
So add all these people on Facebook and spam them with messages.
And then you're good.
All the answers to your questions.
definitely.
No, but definitely build connections with them and be friends with them, and then they'll be able to help you out by giving you some advice, because they went through the same stage as you did. So
Exactly.
yeah.
All right. Cool. I think I'll give up this.
Should I?
Then you can stay.
Anyone else have a question?
What was your name again?
Ryan.
Ryan. I'm John, but this is a nice segue from Ryan, because I feel like I'm just a little bit ahead of Ryan along the lines of, I've been interested in real estate for a little bit now, but I've been analyzing, paralyzing, and I've got all of my plans set out, even those SMART goals that Matt was talking about. I think I need more of a psychologist just to figure out what's going on in my mind to actually pull that trigger. And I just want some advice on going through that first deal, and that's about it. And it's nice to hear from you too, especially just going through it.
Thanks.
So why don't you touch on that first?
So what was the question?
I just need some motivation kind of to get out of my head, stop analyzing, and kind of
Have you been putting in some offers, or
So in the past I was putting in some offers, and then I got, I'm not going to say bamboozled, but I signed a non-exclusive with a real estate agent without even really realizing it, and that just kind of came up. So I might be talking to Jeff soon, and that just came up. I know. No one says they signed them. They just say when the deal goes through, then you sign it right at that time. So.
As a side note, let's just talk about that quick for any other aspiring new investors.
Yeah.
It's really frustrating when you first start investing in real estate or looking at properties. Less than ethical realtors will try and get you to sign what's called a BRRRR, or a buyer's rep agreement.
Yep.
And what that'll do is it'll lock you into having to use that realtor no matter what. So let's say that the issue that a lot of people see with this is the moment the realtor locks you into that agreement, they no longer are as incentivized to work hard on your behalf. And so a really unethical agent will then just be like, essentially leave you to the wolves to go fight for yourself, because for the next 90 days, if you buy a property, you have to pay them one way or the other. So if you've signed that BRRRR with shitty agent, and now you met Jeff Weibel, like, you could still do it, but Jeff's going to get paid, like you're either going to have to pay Jeff out of pocket or shitty agent out of pocket, and the other will get paid by the sellers. So I just wanted to make that clear for everyone. You should never have to sign a BRRRR. They'll tell you that it's in order to make you a client of theirs, so that they have fiduciary duty on your behalf. That is technically true, but the big issue there is, first of all, most agents don't actually respect fiduciary duty whatsoever. Secondly, you should still be focused on your own financial benefit first and foremost. So even relying on an agent, like, you know, unless you've really developed a deep relationship with them, don't share everything with them. Just keep it involved, or like share it just with your other investors rather than sharing it with your agent. Now, if you become a client of theirs, they do have fiduciary duty and they're not supposed to share it. However, I think we all could find stories where weird things happen where you thought you had a deal and it fell apart at the last minute. So yeah, if you're going to sign a BRRRR, sign it exclusive to the property and for a short period of time. So if you're looking at 123 Fade Street, sign a BRRRR saying that you'll buy 123 Fade Street and they'll get paid no matter what. But otherwise, don't do it. If the agent won't work with you because you won't sign a BRRRR, great sign not to use that agent.
Talking on that and being through the experience, I would agree with Matt 100%. But also on top of it, you might think it's 90 days, but if they have an automatic listings going to you, after that contract is over, they have 60 to 90 days of that showing. That's written in the contract. I was reading it quite carefully after I signed it, but so they actually have you for almost double the amount of time. And especially with new real estate investors, they can pitch you the dream, oysters on a sailboat, stuff like that. So you can get it very excited. Have someone like in this network to take that to talk about it, or if they're in that network, or I find, ask them what they've done, stuff like that. Get a little bit more information about the actual agent.
Yeah,
because
there's sharks out there.
Yeah, like Matt was saying, I was almost left him with the wolves. I'd have to bring him deals. Oh, okay, let's go check this out. Then he would have to call them up. So it was kind of a roundabout way, but.
So for your paralysis, what do you think's stopping you, or like what is a hurdle you're having?
I don't know. Like I've got capital to invest. I've got time to do that.
Have you been going and seeing property?
Yeah, I have. I think it's more along the lines of I've kind of narrowed down where I want to go, but then you see another shiny car. Oh, maybe I'll go over there and do that. Because I have a long-term focus. Really enjoy my job. Gives me a lot of time to do what I want to do. So I almost have like a buy a starter family home in a good neighborhood and let time, like Jeff says, what is it? Don't wait to buy and wait. So kind of take that philosophy. That's what I'm looking for. I don't need to recycle my money that quickly. So,
well, if you, like you're talking about buying single family homes,
yeah.
Well, you won't have to worry about recycling your money because you won't have much of it.
Well, yeah, I'm fine over time though, like, you know what I mean?
But, no, the reason why I say that is just because, I mean, you can do it, but you'll have to, you know, join a wholesale group, you know, to get the good deals, and you'll have to.
It's really neat to see, you know, like I was asking Matt all of these same questions, and now, you know, Matt doesn't have time for that. So I'm asking more complicated questions, and it's starting to be a similar thing for me, right? Like people asking me a little bit more complicated questions, but you know, like a guy like Mike No is an awesome person to talk to, but like, what's it like finding first place, getting comfortable with that process, right? There's always like Kelly's not here tonight, but she bought her property, like she's living in half, and she did all the renovations for the first time, and you were like, you connected, right? You're like, oh, I can relate to that, right? And yeah, I think that's what's awesome about all this network stuff, is that there's always somebody who's that one step ahead of you, and then when you get to that step, there's somebody who's at the next step, and you can always there's always someone you can relate to. One thing I wanted to say is with the renovation stuff, you're not familiar with that. I wasn't either. I still never laid flooring myself. Like, I've never done trim. You call people, you ask, hey Dylan, do you know a painter? And Dylan's like, yeah, here's the number. And you're like, good, like, this is someone like, I've gotten a reference. Like, a reference means a lot more than some random on Kijiji. And if you give that reference money, the job you need gets done. And it's like, it was honestly a mental shift for me. I was like, like, I literally just handed them money and now that thing that is done, right? Like, it was a really interesting, I started to really enjoy real estate investing, and I realized I don't need to do this stuff myself. And the better deal you get, the less you have to do yourself. And one thing that's stuck, Matt said to me probably a year or more ago, was like, there's very few problems that that $5,000 can't fix. And you know, for some people that might be a big scary number, but you don't typically have very many $5,000 problems. So if you're looking and you're like, oh, I don't know, like this whole place, like it needs paint and it needs mud and stuff, like it's going to cost you well under $5,000. It needs laundry, like maybe $1,000 or $2, right? Like all of these problems are just money will solve them, right? And like a lot of people here, it seems to be like that money isn't the problem, it's the confidence, finding the deals, it's all that. So just know that money can solve a lot of these problems for you, along with a good reference.
Yeah, money and creativity, right? From networking with people, from reaching out, because like a lot of problems, there's a lot of problems where some people look at it and they'll be like, there was a deal I was looking at a while ago where people were saying that it was an $80,000, $100,000 problem, but you speak with another investor who's dealt with things similar, he's like, well, that's no big deal. Sort it out, $5,000 problem, right? And so that's just through the resourcefulness, that's maybe people have done it before. And like, so networking's awesome too. Allow that to drive you, and even if that's like the thing you're best at, awesome, right? Then go with your strength on it.
Thank you.
I like it.
Anyone else want to see?
Anyone else want to step up? I got one.
Perfect. You can still sit. we need people to sit.
I don't need one chair, it's all good. Okay, hi, I'm Trevor. I know most of you. So I'm obviously very new still, and kind of in that building up capital and knowledge phase. And one of the things I'm thinking of is just kind of the first property. And I'm kind of torn between two options. It's basically, do I want to buy a place for 5% down that I'm going to live in and rent out the other portion of it, or am I going to be a little more patient and save up the 20% down payment where I can rent out the whole thing? And I'm trying to weigh the pros and cons. Like, I like where I live, but I don't have a problem moving, and I think it'd get me into the game faster if I'm rent hacking, whereas the other version is a little more lengthy of a process. And just kind of thoughts from you all on what you would think.
Yeah, definitely. I think if you're finding a good deal, then go in with the 5% down and just get that deal locked down. Because even if it's tough on your first deal because you don't necessarily have the capital flowing in order to kind of take a loss or just kind of let it sit for a little bit. You want to get the deal and start making money quickly and have that snowball build up. But the most important thing is just getting properties, getting good deals, and then getting them locked down so that you own it, right? Then you can, buy real estate and wait, right? You bought it and then you can just wait, let it appreciate, let a little bit of rent trickle in or whatever, and kind of go from there. So I'd say get in if you can, and as long as you find a good deal.
Makes sense.
The laws around the 5% thing are really loose in terms of the moving in.
Okay.
It's not necessarily one or the other.
Fair enough.
Yeah, and I would say, this is just going along with what Dylan said, is that if you kind of thought, oh, well, maybe I'll do 20% the first deal, well, you can't do 5% on the second deal.
Yeah,
so
that's very true.
So if you do the 5%, you can use that cash flow to pay for the 20% you're going to need for the second one.
That's very true. Okay.
Yeah.
Exactly.
If it's a property that you're able to BRRRR, you're getting money.
That's the goal.
I mean, 20% is great for that, but you can also do 5%. You can do a purchase plus improvements with 5%. It's kind of ridiculously awesome. like you can get a place for $10,000 for like a $200,000 house. You can put in 40 grand and maybe it costs you 15 grand, and then you get you get your entire down payment money and all your renovation money back because you only have $10,000 down on it.
That makes sense. Yeah.
A lot of different ways to do it.
Okay.
I think the 20% down versus 5% down thing is typically that's only a question if you have the 20%. If you don't have
that's very true. That's a very good point.
Yes. Then you use 5%.
Yeah.
Yeah, because it does come down to a financing question. The only thing is when you look at the 5% down, doing that high ratio mortgage, you are paying a big fee, right? Which is, in the financing world, that's bad terms because you're paying a 4% fee on or 4 points on the entire rest of the loan on the property. So that's in the financing world, that's a bad term, right? Because you're paying so many fees up front.
Exactly.
But it's easy access, like Kellen said, and if you couple that with like the plus improvements and other maybe more creative financing methods that you feel free to reach out and kind of learn a bit about those, then yeah, you can get in with very little capital, which makes it tougher to have a really good cash flowing deal and everything, but then you get in very cheap and you're in the game. So
that's very true. Perfect.
That's what you're thinking.
Yeah, that's great. No, thank you, Ron. Appreciate it.
Anybody else?
Awesome.
Keep talking. Sure. Sure.
Thanks guys for having such an open forum and having me here. My name's Kyle. I bought my first property, a townhouse in Brampton 5 years ago.
Congratulations.
Yeah. Ironically enough, Mr. Analysis Process here pushed me to buy the property. But I bought it with my cousin, and I was young, I just had enough to put in my share of the deposit. He put a lot more down on the house. We both co-own the house. Now that I have a better job and I've put a lot more into it, and I've just been the last 4 years just focusing on cracking on the principal and catching up to him. He's got a girlfriend now, and I've got a girlfriend now. We both own this property. It's in a really good area, and the resale value is like shot really high. It's just now with our relationships and me still not getting on even ground with him, I'm about 30,000 behind him. What direction should I, because I know like there's people whispering in my ear or asking me questions, you know, about what are we doing with this property now that you're moving forward, because you're not going to live with him forever, you know what I mean?
You're living in this property.
I'm living in this property with him, right?
Are you thinking about selling, or where are you at?
No, I don't know exactly where he's at. Like, I've talked to him a little bit about it, but he is a very comfortable, content with where he's at kind of guy.
Is he interested in buying out the property? Like, if you were to say, hey, you can buy this property, you can own it 100% yourself, and you can access your equity.
Yeah.
Who's on the mortgage?
Well, we both are. Both, yeah.
That's good.
But I'm just wondering, like, what direction I should go in. Should I try to talk him into maybe me buying him out? Because my girlfriend and I would love, like, our ideal situation would be to move into her moving into my house and buying him out. I just feel like it'd be cheaper that way, as opposed to getting a newer home and like a purchase price and a mortgage of higher ground. Like, we've already put a lot into our mortgage. Like, we've got it down pretty low too. So I'm just wondering, like, what you guys think I should do.
It's complicated.
And so you guys are both just living there, so not paying any rent. That's the whole thing. You could buy this place together and then both live there.
Yeah.
Okay. Because then it's different, because not really easy to treat as an asset, right? Because unless one of you want to move out, remain on title, continue having ownership, and then the other guy start paying rent to the other guy to kind of balance that out. But that can be a whole can of worms to open up, because then maybe your friend might not want to pay rent, or maybe you and your girlfriend might not want to compensate for the rent amount. So that's kind of what you're looking at, because at the end of the day, there is value there, right? So whoever's utilizing that value by living there has to kind of pay that up in terms of if somebody's living there. Then if you're selling that, then that can be clean as well, because you're both just cash out and you split it up evenly. But it is very situational.
I assume you don't have any written agreement of how you guys structure this or anything?
No, it was almost like we'll figure it out when we get there kind of thing.
I mean, is he like, if he's the kind of guy you can work with on this thing, definitely start talking to him about it. I mean, you're business partners at this point. Like, you own the property together, you have an asset together, so you guys need to discuss where you're at. If you're interested in buying it out, like buying it for yourself, or if he's interested in buying it for himself, because you could take that equity and buy another property with it and own it yourself as well. There's something called a shotgun clause, and I suck at explaining it, but basically I think you could propose a value and say, I'm willing to buy the property for this much, right? And then if he's like, cool, you can buy it off me for this much, great, and you guys kind of, you'd like talk to the bank and figure out how to get it under your name and all that, or he could say, no, but I'm willing to buy it at that same price, and then he could buy it at that price.
You can counter offer.
So the shotgun clause, the purpose of it, I think it's also been called like the Mexican standoff clause, or there's all these different names, but it's basically you present him with an offer, but once you present him with an offer, he has the ability to buy it back from you at that exact same price. So the reason for why it's used in business is because, let's say you have an asset and I lowball you for it, or we both own an asset, I lowball you for the rest of it, you can be like, that's a great price, sure, I'll take it too, right? So it makes it a little fair, because then you have to give him what you think is as fair as possible, and then you can kind of go from there. That's an easy way to determine a more fair market value, because both parties have skin in the game.
I often use the example of, like, if you have a piece of cake and you want to share that cake as evenly as possible, what I would do is I would hand you the piece of cake and I'd say, you cut in half and I'll choose which half I want. And then you're going to do your very best to cut that cake evenly, as evenly as possible. So in this case, you're going to come up with a value, and it's going to be as fair as you possibly think it could be, and because you're ready to sell for that price too. And if you're both kind of in agreement to do that, because it sounds like one way or another, one of you is going to buy this property, right? Like going forward, the odds of you both owning it for an extended period of time from now is unlikely. So you're either both going to sell it, neither of you are going to own it, or one of you is going to buy it.
Yeah,
so
if you guys sell it, it doesn't seem, because if you do sell it, then there's commissions on the sale, and then you got to buy another property. Both you might have to buy. So yeah, I agree. That doesn't seem like the smartest financial decision to just sell.
Yeah.
Right.
Do you know when the mortgage comes up as well? Like.
Yeah, so we had a 5-year fix, and that's actually coming up next year.
Yeah, perfect. That would be a smooth time to do it, probably.
Yeah, that's what I'm thinking.
I think then you can transfer title, and you can, or maybe not, I don't know how that would work. You might have to pay, if you transfer title, because you're both on title.
Yeah, you have to pay a fee.
In the renewal, you might just have to requalify. Just one person can requalify. As long as they can qualify to hold the whole mortgage, then a lot of times.
I'm just not, would you have to pay capital gains if you were to transfer title from the two of you to just one of you?
Well, you don't have to pay capital gains anyway, because it's principal residence.
Yeah, both are principal residences.
Okay, let me ask you this. So you said it's a townhome?
Yes.
Okay, do you enjoy living there?
Yeah, I actually have a good attachment to that place. I've done a lot of work on my side of it all. We renovated like crazy, and I say we, I mean me and like my other side of the family.
Yeah. Well, that could be worth some money in the deal, because you said you still owe money into the property, so you might be able to work some of that into the deal.
Yeah.
But maybe not, because you have no agreement. But I'm just gonna approach it a different way, because, you know, why not? So you could sell it and you both go separate ways, and then you could just probably pay cash for like an apartment condo. Have you thought about that?
No, I haven't. No, I haven't.
You wouldn't. Yeah, it's just a thought, because then you could do that, and then you could get a mortgage on that for 80%, and then invest that in real estate.
Yeah. It sounds like and I don't know where your mind is at, but it sounds like you want this house. So in a perfect world, he would kind of move out, you'd be able to buy it out.
Yeah, I really do. Just because I did a lot of work to it.
Yeah.
Like I said, it was me and like other members of my family, not on his side. He's on another side of my family.
Yeah.
So we did put a lot of time and effort into upgrading the house.
Yeah. I think you'll need to figure out that. You'll need to figure out, hey, like, is he willing to sell it to you? Do you have a value that you think this place is now worth that you're willing to pay for?
Yeah.
And then at that point, you can come with really specific questions like, hey, now how do I do this? Like, what do I ask my lawyer? Like, you know, what banks do I go to? All that stuff.
Okay.
You really need to figure out like this part first, and then the logistics after.
Okay. Yeah, because potentially if you guys don't mind paying him some rent, maybe you can work that angle too. But I think that's the smartest thing, to approach him, see where he's at, maybe see where he's at with pricing and stuff. And you guys are still good buddies, right? You're living together.
Yeah, we still get along. I was honestly even considering just moving out and then having his girlfriend come in and rent off my share,
right?
Essentially. So I was looking at that avenue as well.
Yeah, that's probably a mistake.
I think a lot of where my mind goes is, let's clean this situation up, and the best way to clean it up is for you both to sell it, or for one of you to buy it.
Yeah.
Because then
I agree.
Yeah.
I think there's maybe a couple of conclusions to jump to first. So personally, the way I approach the situation is, first let's determine what's more important, the relationship with him or the property, just so that we can establish that first. And then let's work past that once we know which one's the most important. And so, like, if it turns out the relationship with him is the most important between the two options, let's just frame it with that then. And so I think the key is, right now you guys have a great relationship, so that's awesome. You guys have been partners for up to 5 years almost now. So like, both of you are rational, logical individuals. You've been able to work together to this point. So I also think the biggest thing that could derail your relationship, from my perspective, is just you blindsiding him with like hey, let's do a shotgun.
Yeah.
That's all. Property, girlfriend's got to rent from you.
Yeah.
Like, you guys have been able to fluidly make this work without any agreements up until this point. So I think the only thing that can really torpedo your relationship at this point is a lack of communication. Yeah. So I would just really focus on communicating with them, and like personally, the way I approach it, and each relationship is different, but I'd approach it focused on like casually at first, like plant the seed, let's just talk through a bit. What happens in this conversation is not set in stone. We're just going to chat. Let's chat out some options, and then let's take a week or a couple weeks. We don't need to decide to meet, right? It's not like you're about to be foreclosed upon.
And to give this context and legitimacy, Matt's a joint venture partner with a lot of people, so I think it's just talk, right? Like you're both smart, you're friends. Like just talk it out, see what works out well for you. It's definitely not a good idea to blindside with any.
For sure.
Like I've been thinking about this and this is the deal. Like kind of work with them on it.
Yeah. Although it is intelligent, because sounding just because you said he was like the kind of guy just cool, easy, goes with the flow. Chances are he'll be down to work with you, and you guys all remain friends. But it is just intelligent to kind of think of the different scenarios going through and how everyone can kind of be happy and comfortable, which you're doing. So that's exactly it.
Thanks guys for all that advice. That's good. I think what's getting in the way is that we got this property for so low at the time, because this was 5 years ago before the market hike.
Yeah.
So both of us, there's a lot of equity sitting there, so we're trying to it's almost like a tug of war thing, you know what I mean? Trying to hold on to it.
Right.
So I just, the relationship is number one though. You are right. Like we should frame around that.
Yeah, and again, he was saying that the idea is maybe get a HELOC, right? Because that's the down payment on the second identical townhouse. If you guys have that much equity that's built up, down payments for the 5 years is probably the appreciation. I bet that that's got to be close to 20% down and whatever the inflated price is. But I think the key is first figure out what's most important and make sure that you get that. Right? That's how you go good negotiation. What's most important to you. Property or relationship. And then focus on creating an environment where that's results.
If all else fails, pull out the shotgun.
Alright, thanks guys. I'll take a seat.
Why not? I might go watch
So I actually have a couple questions. I'm Tim, by the way. I moved to London a year ago, working at downtown. So I actually kind of got into this whole interest of real estate not too long ago, like a month ago, just through YouTube videos, finding your channel. Actually, the first one was not you guys. It was Limitless TV. So that was
always great.
So it started with him. Downloaded his ebook, read it in like 2 days. But he really promotes like that lease to own sort of strategy, just because he advocates it's good cash flow, it's a lot less risk because you're not bearing that sort of repair and maintenance on yourself. I guess what were your thoughts about it? I was talking to, I forgot, who was the person's? Callan. Yeah, Callan. I was talking to him about it earlier, but then we got cut off. But just wondering what you guys think about
Has anybody done rent-to-own? Because I haven't.
No experts on rent-to-own here. However, I think it is a very interesting model. The problem is it's very easy to frame a lot of the benefits of it because it sounds great. You go, oh, you get some tenants and you just throw them in there and they almost own the property, so you're doing no work, and it just, you know what I mean? I think it's very easy to present that as a beautiful type of deal, which it can be for a lot of people. However, there are a lot of complicated aspects of the rent to own, of doing rent to owns and getting those deals. Not to say they can't be done, but there is a lot to structure because you have a lot of moving parts. You have to have these people, potentially qualify them at the end of whatever your term is. You have to structure the payments with them. I would say if you could find somebody who's done them and is an expert at that field, then definitely reach out to them and start to pick their brain a little bit more. Yeah, because obviously at this table, none of us have really experienced it and gone through all the hardships and the difficulties with it too. But that's been my difficulty with rent to own.
Just listening to some people that have done rent to own though, they tell me that the most important thing is selecting the people, right? So it's like, forget about tenant selection. Like, this is intense, right? Because the last thing you want is for it to break down. Like, of course, if they don't pay their rent and it doesn't work out or whatever, you're going to benefit financially. But the idea is they're getting a benefit and you're getting a benefit, right? So it's not like one-sided. Everybody's going to win, right? And just going with that premise that you want them to win, right? And then they're going to find somebody else for you that's going to want to do the same thing, and you can move forward, right? So it doesn't really matter the strategy. The strategy is irrelevant. If rent to own works for you, you'd like that, that's fine. There's wholesaling, a million different ways to make money in real estate, but it's just whatever you're comfortable, whatever you think is going to benefit your clients or yourself or whoever. You know, just go with. I would definitely learn a lot about different strategies, because then you can figure out the best one for you.
Yeah, I guess my question would be why rent to own? Just is that what you did most of your research originally?
I guess that was like the ebook I found first. And they sound really convincing.
It's like your fear of repairs and maintenance being.
I don't have that. I don't have that.
So I guess like a couple things to that is, I don't know about you guys. What do you guys actually budget for repairs and maintenance? Like, I have properties that it's almost non-existent. We're talking on average less than $100 a month per year. Some properties. So so it's probably a lot less than you think. You know, especially once you get your property, whip it into shape, you're going to have a bunch of rental costs up front. But after a property's up and running, as long as you don't have nightmare tenants, and you do a good job of tenant selection, your repairs and maintenance should be pretty low on average, across your portfolio. The other side of that is, I have a single family home, going back to what Dan was saying about tenant selection. I have a single family home where they're renting from me, but they take care of the property. I haven't stepped foot inside the house in 4 years, and so it's a handyman. They treat it as they were at their own home. He does all the repairs and maintenance. He's replaced windows. He's installed a brick fireplace and things like that.
So is that part of the agreement?
No, we literally don't have an agreement other than I got really lucky and found really good tenants they were a family. They were looking for a place, right time, right place, and they have this kind of ownership mentality. Now they expressed interest for rent to own long term, but I mean they've been renting them for 4 years and it's never come up since then. So you can find tenants out there that are going to do repairs and maintenance. They're going to change their own light bulbs or unclog their own plugs and things like that. And you can find even better tenants that are willing to do anything aside from subsidizing their rent. So he's renovated a bathroom in the property from top to bottom, and I literally said, okay, this month you pay half the rent, next month you pay half the rent, and just that can be subsidized for the renovation. So you can find really good tenants out there that will do all the repairs and maintenance. If you can stage the right property and the right tenants, you can do all those things.
Yeah, I think especially rent to own I think there's a lot of benefits. It can be very great, but it's difficult for a beginner to get into because of all the moving parts associated with those types of deals. And like Adam said, a lot of the benefits, if you just do vanilla real estate investing, buy and hold, you can find a lot of those benefits just by hustling, finding the right things, and you're learning a lot of the repair skills, things like that aren't as overwhelming once you actually get into it. So I think rent to own can be very interesting. Continue to research that definitely and spec it out. But yeah, it can be complicated.
it's just like the initial sort of like they pay that down payment is very attractive because you want that early cash flow as like as a buffer for anything that goes off, or like say they miss out their rental payments. Like, it does sort of cover it. Definitely. Obviously, the caveat is they kind of lose out. So like they're not like your trophy tenant anymore. They probably can't afford this at the end of the term, right? And then you're probably gonna have to find another tenant, just because I think the original sort of agreement would be if you miss out on these payments, like you lose your optionality, right? And then sorry, I just have a lot of questions. So I've been really focused on sort of like online research, playing with the Excel model. I haven't really done the physical due diligence myself. Recently I saw like two listings. There was one that was like a raised bungalow, and then there was another house that was 2-story, but it had a pool. It was at the exact same price. I asked my parents, like, what happened? Like, is this just like an arbitrage opportunity? Like, I could just buy this 2-story house instead of this bungalow. I mean, this raised bungalow. And then my mom said, like, oh, it's if you actually look at Google Maps, it's in front of a road. So like that, so it's in front of road. So like, if say a car didn't stop, it can like crash right into your property. And that lowers the value. But like I mean, like there's.
Wait a minute. So
if that makes sense.
So it's on a cul-de-sac. That's what you're saying?
So like, say this is the road, the street. Your house is right here, and then there's another road that connects right here.
Okay.
So it's like a T shape.
So there's a little more traffic?
Yeah, and then like if say a car was coming this direction.
Yeah, no, I wouldn't suggest that would be the case. I would think it would be. So it's in the same neighborhood.
It's like 5 minutes apart, like drive.
The condition maybe, and like you said, maybe the other one's on a crescent.
That one's like on a court.
So you're looking at the price they're listed at, correct?
Yeah.
So that's the difference, right? Is that with real estate, the price properties get listed at, it's kind of important. It is kind of a metric, but it's not the ultimate metric. You want to look at what properties sell for, right? Because who knows, maybe one of the agents could be listing aggressively. Let's list it low, we'll start a bidding war. Whereas another property they're listing higher because maybe the client oh no, my property's worth this much, right? And I know you're kind of from the stock world coming to real estate. With real estate, there's way more human emotion added in. I feel like maybe I'm not an expert on public equities, but just because people get so emotional, especially when you're talking single family homes with a pool and things like that, right? So there's a lot of little things. So yes, there's tons of arbitrage opportunities, but you don't necessarily know them just by seeing the listing and the price on there. Right. Maybe if you see the listing and the square footage and the bedrooms and the things and like that, but then you maybe have to call the realtor and, hey, what's the situation here? Right. Maybe you speak with your realtor and get him to speak with their realtor, kind of feel it out a bit. And then that's when the arbitrage opportunity starts to actually come out and people learn about it.
Okay, so like there wouldn't be sort of like a theoretical value to, the same